What's up? Hey, hello everyone. Wow. So today we are back going to be talking about Survivor season 48, episode 2. So my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and what an episode! What an episode! We saw some interesting going ons, and I'm really excited to get to talk about it.
Yeah, I didn't get the chance to watch this episode live this week, and then I Googled it afterwards, and I was thoroughly disappointed because in my fantasy, like we talked about last week, I picked four people from Purple Team thinking they would win first place in the challenge, and that would get you a lot of points. And then I picked Kevin, thinking like, oh, he got a lot of screen time last week. His tribe's probably going to tribal, so he'll probably get more points if he gets more screen time going to tribal. But Kevin and Purple Team failed me this week. Purple not winning first and Kevin getting voted out. So my
You should have
fantasy is
gone for
bad.
Mitch.
Yeah. The sucky thing is though, like the people that I switched, I had Star and Mitch my first week and I switched them out this week. I'm like, dang, they would have gotten so many points this week.
Yeah, those were rough picks to switch.
Ha, SMH. I'll try again next week and keep you all posted. But we start this episode off with Orange Team. They are doing humble traits. Charity says she's got weird feet, and she really does have weird feet. Like it looks like her toes got broken in like a door frame and then they grew back like twisted.
I did not look that closely at Charity's feet because feet gross me out. So,
She got a lot of feet shots out there for free. She should be charging. Like, dang, okay, you got weird feet. I'm sure people would pay for that.
yeah. But then other people's humble traits included the four nipples, and obviously Mitch has his stutter. And I thought it was so funny when I think it was Charity asked Mitch, like, "What's your humble trait?" And he was like, "Bitch, what?" So it was a good time all around. I really like that, both as kind of like a team bonding thing, but then also like maybe some of these humble traits are going to come back to bite us.
Yeah, like Dee's toes, maybe Charity toes comes in handy. I felt like David's four nipples weren't really that bad. Like, I don't think you would notice it unless you looked very carefully or he brought it up. I thought it was really weird that how he mentioned about like milk and then, oh, I don't really want to milk myself. I'm like, oh, are you a cow now?
That whole thing was just, I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, my dude, he likes rom-coms, but he's a attractive jock, but he's not like the other attractive jocks. He's got four nipples and likes rom-coms.
He truly is an enigma.
Yeah, Chrissy's got a very deep belly button. Maybe that will come into handy. You can hide an idol in there, maybe. She was talking about cleaning it out with a Q-tip, and I was like, this is so weird. It's like you've got a cave in there or something. Why, why is it so deep?
Right? I don't know.
But it would be funny if she hid something in there and then it did come full circle like Dee's toes. I'm like, that would actually be good. But there's no way her belly button's actually that deep.
Yeah, no way.
And then Kyle has that wart, but they didn't show a close up of Kyle's wart compared to like Charity's feet. I couldn't even tell if it's a wart or a pimple or whatever, callus
A
he said
wart
it
or a
was.
callus. Yeah, I do think, though, you don't have calluses for 10 years. So
Maybe he's rock climbing a lot
maybe.
and playing the guitar.
Possible.
That's sort of gross though, because it's like usually I feel like you get warts on your toes and then it's not as contagious. He might have infected a lot of people with a hand wart because whatever, like maybe it's on your handshake hand, you're gonna give other people hand warts.
Gross.
But Camilla, she didn't get a humble trait. I want to know what hers would be.
Yeah, I wonder if hers was just like too weird, or I don't know. Why would they would skip everyone but Camilla?
Yeah, I'm like, you gotta share yours. Everyone else shared, but it's a fun scene to start the episode. And then we go to Purple Team. We see that Star is on the outs of Purple Tribe. Eva, even before the challenge happens, like, oh, we have to sit someone out now. And she offers and says Star should probably sit out because me, Shaheen, um, and Joe, we're the strong people. You two are on puzzles and referring to Bianca and Thomas. So Star, you should sit out. And I can sort of see why Star would be peeved off there because I'm like, dang, Star was ex-basketball player. She's obviously not weak.
Yeah, that was one of the times where I was like, "Ooh, babe, read the room." But, I feel like that kind of it ended up being a positive for Star because I feel like it was what lit a fire underneath her.
Yeah, led Star to go out searching. She finds the Beware Advantage. It's a similar puzzle code as last week, but a different task that you have to do. Here you have to hold up the parchment key paper up to the little symbols on the trees, and then the animals match and it'll show a little letter. When they were first doing this, I was like, I'm not seeing anything. What? Because it was the letter I, so it just looked like a line underneath their little hole in the parchment. I was like, "What are you guys looking at?"
Yeah. The other thing I really liked about this challenge was that they had the same letters, but the code was different. And I don't know why in my head I thought that all of them would have the same code for their Beware idol, but I totally thought they did. And then I realized that there's more than one word that can be from those letters, and I was like, wow, what iconic. So that was a little bit fun to me, I thought.
Yeah, I thought that was cool in the Orange Team Idol, where Camilla figures out the code. Here, we don't see Star figure out the letter key, but we see her tell basically everyone on the tribe about it in order to potentially gain allies. So we see Star tell Joe. Joe is like, oh, I don't want to be sketchy seen as a duo with Star, so let's bring in Shaheen. I thought that was smart because if you were the only person to know, it would be like, yo, what's up with that? I thought we were voting her out. Why are you so close with her? So I thought it was smart to bring in someone else.
I thought it was smart to bring in someone else too, and I totally didn't even realize that we didn't see Star's idol getting discovered, because they did have the whole conversation about whether or not they should just lose the letters that they found. So
Yeah, that was wild. We see Shaheen trying to figure out the key. He says three options. I could help her get the idol, and then we know she has the idol. You could pretend to help her, but not let her get the idol, not help her figure it out fully so she loses her vote. Or you can sabotage her. And then after Star tells Bianca and Thomas, Thomas then tells Shaheen, you should just get rid of the paper and make it disappear. And then Shaheen is like, yo, I'm not going to do that. But dang, low key, I feel like that'd be so wild and rude if someone did purposefully sabotage you and lose the paper or stick it in the ocean or put in the fire or something. But I sort of want to see someone do it just for gigs.
I also thought it was interesting that what was supposed to be like a bonding moment ended up turning into Shaheen being suspicious of Thomas because he was like, that's too much game for right now. So I thought that was interesting too.
Low key though, if that were me and someone said, yeah, let's get rid of the paper so she can't find the idol, I think I would react similarly to Shaheen and be like, okay, Thomas is playing. This is a red flag a little bit for Thomas. Sure, it's against someone we're not working with, but if Thomas is willing to make the paper disappear for someone else, maybe he would make the paper disappear for me. Low key, Shaheen, smart. I wouldn't lose the paper, but I sort of want Thomas to lose the paper just so we can see the fallout.
Yeah. I also would think it would be really funny if one of them did genuinely lose the paper instead of lose the paper. Like if one of them did, I don't know, random gust of wind, because then imagine having to tell the other person I lost the paper, but I actually lost it, bro, not fake lost it. But
Then I wonder, would they think you're faking it? Like, no, you purposely did it and now you're acting like you didn't do it. I feel like in a recent season we saw someone lose something, like an idol, but it was like they really lost it for a couple minutes, but then they found it.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like a paper would be easier to lose than an idol, but I also lose a lot of things, so maybe I'm not a.
So Joe tells Eva about the idol, so everyone knows. But it's up to figure out next week if they're going to actually help her, if she might need to figure it out on her own because people aren't going to actually be really helping her. I feel like Star does need to figure this idol out. Otherwise, she's probably getting voted out if Purple does go to Tribal.
Yeah, but I also kind of doubt that purple is going to go to tribal because it just seems like green is the fail team.
True. Like we said last week, I could see now someone like Thomas maybe trying to throw at the challenge if they really wanted to go to Tribal before a merge or a swap or something. Because Thomas mentioned the sabotaging of the idol, I'm thinking, okay, maybe he low key would want to sabotage his team in a team challenge.
Yeah, but I don't know. I still feel like he's too smart for that.
Hopefully, he's gonna backfire and he gets voted out because I could see like people feel a little bit good. Hey, I was brought into the loop. Similar thing like we saw with Sai last week. Okay, you trust me enough to show me this. You like me enough to show me this. It feels nice to be brought into the loop. You know who has the power. You know who has the idol. Maybe that gets people actually on Star's side. Or if Star does get the idol, I could see maybe Bianca going home from this team. Joe is not going to let Eva go. Like we saw last week and this week, he would rather get voted out than Eva. So I feel like it'd be bad for Bianca if Star actually gets her vote back, gets the idol. The other people are like, okay, who can we vote for? They might split on Bianca.
Yeah, they might. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen though. I feel like I like all of purple better than like either other tribe. So
Yeah, I do too. So it'll be interesting to see, like, is this a new strategy? Should everyone tell everyone about the idol because it might protect you? It's protected, say, and maybe it'll protect Star if she's able to flaunt it and be like, haha, you're not voting for me. I've got the idol.
yeah, I feel like we've had discussions like that before, where sometimes the
Hmm.
threat of an idol is almost better than the idol itself.
It honestly works really well. I feel like we've seen it in like New Era Survivor a lot where people, whether it's from other people sharing or the person sharing themselves, it's like you're afraid to vote for them because, okay, if it works, they get to decide who's going home. So, oh, let's just do something easier and vote for their right-hand person, or let's split the votes and they don't actually have the most votes on them kind of thing. It's like it's a little bit hard to split the vote in like a 5-person, 6-person tribe when like maybe one person, two people don't actually have their vote since they lost it. But come like a swap or merge when there's 10, 12, 13, then definitely easier to try to get the idols out.
For sure.
So, speaking of idols, also, Kyle also gets the Beware advantage. Like Alyssa mentioned, this is also helping solidify that Mitch and Charity are seen on the bottom of Orange Team. We saw Charity on the bottom last week. Mitch was just sort of left out of things. This week, we're seeing them as a duo, we're seeing them bond. And then the other four go idol hunting because of this. They do like Mitch, they say, but because he's so close to Charity, they're on the bottom too.
Yeah. Which I feel like maybe that has some opportunity to shake up, especially since Mitch did perform really well in this past challenge. But again, it's really hard to see like how the dynamics on orange and purple are going to work when they haven't gone to tribal yet.
Yeah, so Kyle ends up finding that Beware advantage. He tells his alliance, so he tells David, Camilla, Chrissy. Kyle gets Camilla basically to do the whole idol clue code unlocking for him. And I was like, dang, good for Camilla unscrambling all those letters and trying all these new words because I just thought it was listen again, not new.
I thought so too, but like I said, I thought it was really cool that it wasn't listen. But then I also was like, Camilla, if you're the one who did all the work, why are you giving up the idol to someone else? Come on, dude.
No, literally, I wrote down I would not have guessed the word enlist, so like kudos for that. And then I also wrote down felt like an athlete asking a nerd to do his homework.
That is very fair.
Like, okay, it's very good. Camilla and Kyle are working together, but Kyle better not screw Camilla over because she basically did this whole idol and got him an idol for him. Like, not use this against her to get her out or like backstab her, I'd feel some kind of way. Like, dang, she did the whole clue for you and you sat there.
Yeah, if she gets taken out by this idol, I will riot.
But Camilla, kudos. That was a hard word scramble. I feel like listen is a lot easier than enlist. And I was like, good for you. You got that idol, but Kyle found it, so it's his.
Hmm.
So we go to the immunity or to the journey. The journey, it is you have to count on the three. Everyone holds up a number 1 through 5, and then the lowest unique number wins. And this is actually a mini game from the Survivor card game that Jeff showed after this part of the episode. And I got the Survivor card game, so we actually played this mini game before. And so watching it on the episode, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the mini game from the card game. So it's cool to see it on the show, and that's probably why they put it on the show.
Did you find any strategy playing the card game for that specific mini game?
That's what I'd be interested. I'm sure someone will do like the number analytics on it. I feel like when we did it, it took like 3 tries for us to get a unique number. Because I feel like you think about it, you're like, oh, I shouldn't do one because everyone's going to do one. But then you're like, oh, maybe they're thinking everyone's going to not do one. So I will do one, that kind of thing. So I think it took us 3 tries to actually get a unique number.
Yeah, I noticed that for two of the tribes, I think the lowest number was one. And then for
Mhm.
one of the other tribes, the lowest number was two. So it seems like doing a low number is a good strategy rather than like doing a like five and hoping that everyone else doubles up.
Yeah. And it's like, what, if you have 5 or 6 players on the team, I think you would do a low number because if you choose five, and there's only 5 people on your team or 6 people, like obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, you need 8 people on your team to get all of those doubled up before your 5 wins.
Well, you could do like if everyone else picks one, then
Yeah,
everyone at the bottom would be eliminated. But
yeah. I feel like just the chances are smaller because then you need like, oh, 2 people to pick one or 2 people to pick three, and then 2 people to pick 2 or 4 or whatever, and then you're yeah. I
yeah,
say put 1, 2, or 3.
yeah.
But I would want the real stats on this. I thought this was fun to see from the board game. Alyssa, when I'm back in Maryland, will have to play the game. It's a good game. Everyone should go buy it.
Hmm. There were a lot of number puzzles this game because, or this game, this episode, because then when they did go on the journey, the puzzle that they did was another number puzzle. And I thought it was interesting because first looking at this puzzle, I was like, oh, that's such an easy puzzle. But then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, no, it's actually not that easy.
Why is it not that easy?
Well, I guess because you have to think in the reverse. Because I think a lot of people are thinking, like, oh, you just want to get the one to the one position. But then if you have the one in the one position, then you need to get the two. But then you push the one off by doing the two. So
Mm.
I feel like it was easier in my head than it ended up being. And like, even after thinking it over a couple of times, I was like, I'm not sure how I would do this puzzle in the like heat of the moment. But also, I am tired, so maybe it's that my brain is not working properly after a full week of work. But
So
also,
it'll
your
be
brain
like on
probably isn't,
Survivor. Yeah.
yeah, your brain probably isn't working properly on Survivor, but also they get the adrenaline rush of, I need to figure this out so I can have an advantage.
I think we should do this as a DIY challenge to like figure out the strategy. For me, seeing it, it reminded me sort of like a slide puzzle where it's like you would use, if you're trying to make the top column, then you a row, you would then use the second and third rows as like your loading zones in order to create the first row. To me, I feel like I think we can do it. To me, looking at it, it didn't seem too difficult. I feel like the color one that Rachel did where the like stand would fall into the ocean seemed more difficult matching the colors and just the added pressure of like that noise of the stuff falling into the ocean. I think that was stressful. Or even it reminded me of the ball challenge that Chrissy did in HHH when she won immunity, where you have to like match the ball colors on a spinning table. I feel like those are sort of similar to this, but to me, I feel like those two are harder than this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the color matching one would be easier, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, true. I guess different brains think differently in looking at
Well,
things.
one thing that Thomas, I think, said was that if you solve the first two rows, then you're essentially screwed with the third row. So I think the hard part is that the first row might be easy to solve, but then you have to solve the bottom two rows simultaneously. Otherwise, the last row just gets messed up.
Yeah, true. Your last row would always be in the wrong order. So that's
Hmm.
why it reminds me of a slide puzzle. I think it'd be interesting to try it.
Yeah, so let us know in the comments down below if you want us to try that.
Yeah, because yeah, similarly like a slide puzzle, if you like have a 3 by 3 slide puzzle or a 4 by 4, yeah, you can't just leave the puzzle messed up. You need to like do it in chunks at the same time.
Exactly.
But Thomas, Mitch, and Mary go to the challenge. For Say's team, they say, oh, this first one is practice, but then Say wins. And then she's like, no, it's not practice. I'm going. Then everyone else is like, no, this one is practice. So then Mary wins the real one. And then Say is like really pissed off at the men.
I thought it was so funny because Say was like, you should have just said it was the real one. And it's like, bruh, they they did what you all agreed to do. So it just felt kind of like bad sportsmanship by Say, and like I get why she acted that way because the person you dislike the most being the one who gets to go on the journey is like not a fun time, but also like, you all agreed to it.
Yeah, like technically Mary won fair and square because the first one was practice. They all did say practice. It wasn't just like after the first one, they're like, oh, actually, I think it should be practice, or like, let's do best 2 out of 3 after the first one. But yeah, no, it was funny. Say was just like so pissed off and then like rolling her eyes and then making backhanded comments about Mary going, which I'm like, okay, you gotta chill a little bit, but she's just unreasonably sort of peeved there.
Yeah, I feel like what Say said about like, she's a big personality and like she will let her opinion be known. I feel like we're definitely starting to see that in like the way she's behaving on the island. But it's surprisingly like not that annoying yet. So I'm curious to see if other people start to get annoyed by it or if that behavior like comes up at all.
Definitely, yeah. It's like to me, I don't think she's giving like 30-year-old. I feel like she's acting way younger than 30.
I did not know she was 30. Yikes.
So Mary is the only person to not get the puzzle. She loses her vote. Mitch and Thomas both get this puzzle challenge. Thomas wins a steal a vote advantage, and then Mitch wins a block a vote advantage. So Thomas, he goes back and he doesn't tell the truth to the purple team. He says he just lost his vote. He lost the game. Mitch tells his team everything and says his advantage.
Yeah. I thought it was so interesting how they all like took different tactics in the like telling the truth thing. So it'll be interesting with so many of the like advantages being public knowledge. Like on the purple team stars, the wear advantage being public knowledge. And then now Mitch's block of vote being public knowledge.
Definitely, and Mitch winning this also sort of painting a target on his back in addition to his friendship alliance with Charity. People are like, "Oh, Mitch is playing really hard. He just needs to chill like the rest of us 4 here. Now he has this extra advantage, so that's dangerous, and he's close with Charity, extra dangerous." But yeah, it's also sort of funny. It's like, "Okay, you guys made a 4-person alliance and you're saying these people in the 2-person alliance are playing too hard."
Yeah, just it really is interesting, especially because it's like if he was going to use the advantage against you, he wouldn't have told you about it. Like making
Yeah,
Mitch
like
out, like not that Mitch isn't a strategic player, but they're like, "Oh, he's a strategic mastermind."
yeah, like Star. They like you enough to share it with you, but I can see David's point of view. It does make Mitch very powerful if you've got a vote related advantage where you can block a vote. It's really not 4v2, especially if someone else loses their vote from going on another journey or something like that, then it's 3v2. Mitch blocks a vote, it's 2v2. So in that case, it could get a little dangerous, but then it's still a tie, and you would have to persuade someone to flip, which might be hard. But yeah, he's got some power, Mitch.
Yeah, I feel like no one's going to rocks for each other, like, this early in the game. But then again, uh, maybe they are. So
Hey,
who knows?
Survivor South Africa, we could only dream.
Yeah.
So we go to the immunity challenge. You have to race through these swimming obstacles and shoot some basketballs at the end. The first person, they have to go solo, and then the next groups, they go in pairs, and they have to cross a balance beam while holding a ball together. Mary, she killed that swimming portion when she went solo. Like David, Shaheen, Mary all did very well. I was like, go Mary, though. That's good for her.
Yeah, I'm glad that after the green team lost, Cedric did take responsibility because it would have been really easy to be like, Mary was the last of the three solo people to have gotten to the platform. So if they really wanted to, they could have been like, Mary, this is your fault, but they didn't. So
Yo, yeah, if I were Mary and someone was trying to blame me and you rocked that first part of the challenge, I'd be like, yo, I was up there with those two men. Like, she was not that far behind. She was really close to those guys. And just like naturally, they're probably going to be faster swimmers than her. But like, she held her own. And that was really good. I was so surprised though that David, Shaheen, Mary, they all just like can have their eyes wide open underwater and they're all unlocking the buoys and you see their eyes are wide open. I was like, how? Is this not salt water? Are you not wearing contact lenses? Like I grew up competitive swimming and like I don't open my eyes underwater. I'd be swimming with my eyes closed.
well, when I was a kid, I used to open my eyes underwater just to see if I could. So maybe like if you know you're going on Survivor, that's like a skill that you start building up, like the ability to open your eyes up underwater. Because I imagine like unhooking one of those latches would be really hard with your eyes closed.
I don't know where you have to open your eyes. I'm like, oh no, I would need goggles. I was like, that, I don't know. I just freaked out because I feel like you hear all those stories of people that like swim in the ocean or they swim in a chlorinated pool with contact lenses in, and like they swim without goggles or they open their eyes underwater and then the water gets in their eyes and then they get eye infections from like the contacts and then the water. So that's just like, how is people swimming with their eyes open?
Ugh, I would hate to get an eye infection, especially on
Yeah.
Survivor.
Yeah, so I'm like, maybe I don't know. I was like, how? I need to learn this. Like, are you not afraid of getting diseased?
Maybe $1 million is worth it.
Yeah, everyone else though, they did fine on the challenge. No one else was like super bad at any portion besides Kevin and Cedric could not get over that balance beam. Like we say now a lot, you got to practice balance beaming and you got to practice balance beaming over water because that's really hard
And
apparently.
I feel like you should also practice like tandem balance beaming because it looked like Cedric would have been able to get the balance beam on his own, but I'm not sure if I think the having to balance the ball between them, especially because Kevin is like much bigger than Cedric, like musclier, it's kind of like that I think makes it harder because it's hard with the two like opposing forces. So, because like you hear say telling Cedric like stop leaning back, but it's like if you have a big dude on the other end of your balance beam pole like pushing at you because he's trying to hold the ball in place, then eh. So get friends, recruit your friends to help you.
Yeah, I'm like balance beaming with friends over water, that's gonna be a hard one to, practice, definitely. So, maybe, yeah, regular balance beaming, definitely. Trying to balance beam or balance on water, definitely also, but yeah. It's gonna be hard to find those materials.
You just need to get better friends.
True. So, we get to the basketball portion of this challenge. Mitch got them all so freaking quick, and he passed Purple. Purple was, like, in the lead for a while, and then he passed them on basketball.
I think that the trick that Mitch used that people never seem to use in Survivor is doing the underhand throw. Like everyone is tempted to like shoot it the way that you shoot a basketball, but the underhand throw I feel like can be more accurate because you can do it the same way every time. So, underhand throw.
Mitch did underhand. Eva, she got a few shots and she did overhand. And then Joe swapped in. I think he did underhand and got the rest of them. And I thought this was really funny because I was watching Netflix's new show, which is called Running Point, and it's about basketball. And they've got an episode where, like, one of their star players couldn't hit shots anymore. And so, like, they brought in this old lady to teach him underhand throwing. And he was able to get shots now after doing underhand, but he was too embarrassed to like do it in an NBA game because, oh, you're doing the granny shot. This is embarrassing. You need to do the man shot, which is the regular way to play basketball. So I just thought that was funny how it comes up here and it's like they won by doing underhand.
Again, this isn't professional basketball though, so
You're doing the granny shot. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's funny that it comes up here. Gotta And then I was like, "Oh, they sat Star out, and Star's a basketball player, but maybe if Star is less good at swimming, then it makes sense."
yeah. And if you win, you win.
True, they got second place though. That ruined my fantasy, so maybe Star needed to be in there. They got first place, and then I would have more points.
Star needed to be in there for you.
Yep. But I see Star and Camilla chatting on the bench, and I thought that was cute.
I thought it was funny when she was like, "What's your name?" Just
Yeah, but like you said, Cedric basically owns up for flubbing at the challenge. He sort of offers to go home after the challenge since it is his fault that they lost. Everyone's crying, but they're like, "No, Cedric, we're not going to vote you out, even though you sucked at the balance beam."
yeah, I was kind of confused why everyone was crying and I was like, is this maybe it's just like a reaction from losing, but they all seemed like really sad and I was like, are you all okay?
Sad to vote one of their friends out, or maybe happy that they can vote one of their people they don't like out because
Yeah.
Say and Mary do not like each other. Say, like, dang, she's got a lot of problems, the other women here, but she does not like Mary now, and that basically means, like, even if Mary wanted to work with Say or Mary liked Say, Mary has to not like Say back now because Say just really doesn't like Mary. I feel like it puts her in a hard place because maybe Mary would want to work with Say, but because Say is acting like that, it's like, yo, okay, I can't even try anything because you do not like me for some reason.
Yeah. It was so weird because it felt like Say was determined to dislike Mary and I was like, what did Mary do to you?
Yeah, like Say was making, I feel like, a lot of passive aggressive and jabby comments towards Mary. And like we said, she said, "Oh, I can't control my face. I can't control this. It's just me." But I feel like sometimes in Survivor, especially, you low key do gotta chill. I feel like you gotta be at least fake friendly with everyone. You can't have so many outward beefs with people because I think it's just gonna come back to bite you. It's like, okay, Say likes me right now, but what could say that she hates me tomorrow and then she might like talk to me like this at tribal council.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where people really pay attention to how you treat other people, even if it's like kind of the idea of like if someone will talk behind someone else's back, they'll talk behind your back. So,
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see moving forward, like Say's relationships with other people, Say's relationship with the men on this tribe too. We see Kevin wanting to vote Say out, but Cedric really likes Say, so he tells her about all the plans. Cedric and Justin are now in the middle, and they are in a very, very good spot. This episode, I think they're in a very good spot going forward too, into the next, like next time they go to tribal, which could be next week.
yeah, I feel like the problem with Kevin is that he went too hard too fast. Whereas I feel like, especially when you do have a strong personality, like Say, and someone like Mary, who's an easy vote out, like just do what you have to do. Like it might not feel good, but like when you only have 5 people, there's not a lot of place to hide.
Especially with the idol and, like, maybe without Kevin's plan, she wouldn't have played the idol to flush it kind of thing. It's like, yeah, going into a 4 next week, it would be dangerous to have one person with the idol going into a 4. Like, yeah, you wanna get rid of it. Um, but it seems like, say, okay, Kevin said her name, I don't like Kevin anymore. Mary wrote her name down, so I don't like Mary anymore. So, sort of gives, say, a reason to be like, "Yeah, okay, I don't like you anymore. I wanna vote you out." I think it's very good for Cedric and Justin to be in the middle like this, and I think they picked correctly today in choosing to send Kevin home. I think it's interesting, Say feels like she's the one running the team, but I think Cedric and Justin, they made that move today and they are very powerful now.
They are very powerful now. I think especially because the idol was flushed. Hopefully
Mhm.
they can like get some momentum that way. They don't have to be afraid of the idol anymore.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Cedric and Justin are like an actually close duo or are they only close because they're forced together this episode because Kevin was trying to flip, or does Cedric actually feel closer to Say and that's why he told her all the tribe information about Kevin and like he's just with Justin because they're in that men plus Say alliance. Like it'll be interesting to see where Justin and Cedric go and if they are actually really close and can ride the middle together, because basically, this episode, Cedric and Justin got to pick between Mary or Kevin of going home and Say in there too, but Cedric's not voting Say. Like they got to pick who's going home. And I think picking Kevin over Mary was a good choice because if you kept Kevin there, it would be the three men and Say going into next time, Kevin might try to vote Say out. Maybe you don't want that. Or I feel like there's just a lot more variables. But if you have Mary and Say both there, they're going to continue to bicker. The chances of them teaming up are very small. So when they go to tribal again, Cedric and Justin have the power in the next vote. They get to pick.
Plus, also, if they do want to go through with Kevin's plan of like getting out, say, it's so much easier now than it would have been this past week. So they made the right move.
They've got a lot of options and, like, yeah, having the 2 women there so, like, bickering at each other, fighting with each other, they're probably not gonna be able to work together, and it's like, if Cedric and Say are that close and Justin wants to vote Say out, Justin and Mary might be able to team up. I feel like it leaves you with more options. So it'll be interesting to see if Cedric and Justin are a duo and they stick together and they play the middle next time, or if it's actually like, oh, Cedric, Justin, Say, or just Cedric, Say, and Justin's sort of more free agency. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, so at least Green Team is messy and going to tribal constantly. It's not like a clear who's going to get voted out next, which I think sometimes with the tribes that fail, it's obvious who's going home next. So fingers crossed they stay messy.
It'll be interesting also, like, say Mary gets voted out, Say's still there. Does Say need someone she, like, dislikes at all times on the beach? Because it's like episode 1, Say and Stephanie are fighting at Tribal. Here, her and Mary are fighting at Tribal. It's like, do you always have to have someone that you're bickering with at Tribal, or can we have a Tribal where there's no, like, fighting?
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, so Kevin gets voted out, and that was sad, and unexpected leaving last week's episode that I picked him for my fantasy. So sad.
Yeah, I was going to say if it was obvious that Kevin was going to go home, hopefully you wouldn't have picked him for fantasy.
No, I thought he was gonna get a lot of points because he talked a lot last episode. He got good screen time, but alas, Kevin gets voted out. And I do wonder too if a part of it is because of his arm and his injury. Because if you're like, oh, okay, we want tribe strength. If he can only have like one good working arm and it's negatively affected us in these challenges, maybe you vote him out because of that. But they didn't mention that as a reason.
They did not, but maybe it'll come up next week.
Yeah, maybe it was a reason that was edited out.
Hmm.
So I thought this episode was very fun. A lot of fun, cool, exciting twists happening. We got a lot of all the Blair advantages found this week. I feel like we solidified those relationships that we saw forming last week. And now we can like say who's in what alliance and who's working together more strongly. So I'm excited for moving into next week.
I am also excited for next week. I'm really excited to see if the Green Tribe continues to fail or not.
Yeah, so thank you all so much for watching. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.